Just when you thought you had seen the highest flights in NBA history, you looked up and there was more. Because while Jordan floated and Ja exploded, there's a whole other list of guys who treated the hardwood like a runway, and liftoff was just part of the warm-up. These aren't just verticals, these are anti-gravity events. So yeah, we're back with more bounce, boom, and defenders wondering what just happened. The ones who took off like they had jet fuel in their calves and came down only because the shot clock said so. And if we're talking about verticals that felt personal, the guy we're starting with didn't jump, he levitated. Let's talk about Vince Carter. Vince didn't just dunk on people, he ended careers. His 43-inch vertical might not be the highest on this list, but when you combine it with power, control, and cold-blooded confidence, it was game over. There's that one dunk we all remember, the one where Vince Carter casually jumped over a full-grown NBA center. Vince took one dribble, launched, and cleared 7'2" Frederick Weiss like he was on a traffic cone. The dunk wasn't just disrespectful, it was historic. The kind of moment that makes you rewind the clip even though you've already memorized it. That wasn't a dunk. That was an international incident. But Vince wasn't a one-jump wonder.
That is a reverse 360 going against the grain. That is unbelievable.
In the 2000 dunk contest, he unleashed a windmill from an elbow in the rim jam, and a 360 windmill that looked like a video game glitch. And the scariest part is how he made all these look easy. He made it all look so easy. His vertical wasn't just high, it was controlled, smooth, and explosive all at once. Most guys need a fast break to show off their bounce. Vince could pull up and punch it from anywhere on the court like it was nothing. If jumping were language, Vince Carter would be poetry. But if Vince Carter floated like a ballerina in space, this next guy was a mid-air firecracker with no chill. Gerald Green is probably the only human to dunk so high that he paused mid-windmill to blow out a birthday candle because gravity wasn't the only thing getting disrespected that night.
Petro, good rebound. Nice outlet. On the run, 2-on-1. Green to finish.
When Gerald Green took off, you weren't watching a dunk. You were watching a physics experiment with attitude. With a reported 46-inch vertical, Gerald didn't just leave the floor, he left the gym.
Now Green gets the bounce.
And if you've never seen the birthday cake dunk from the 2008 dunk contest, let me explain. He windmilled over a cupcake and blew out the candle mid-air. That wasn't just creativity, it was a flex on science itself. Gerald wasn't dunking for points. He was dunking to remind the earth it had limits, and he didn't. But it wasn't just contests. In-game, Gerald would leap above the square for impossible putback dunks. Lobs from half court didn't matter because he caught them all. And if we're talking side blocks, he timed them like a hawk, hunting from the clouds. The best part is that he could fool people into thinking these were accidental. The dude would rise, twist, and finish like his controller was set in arcade mode. If bounce was a superpower, Gerald Green had it all. Gerald Green had it and used it every time he stepped on the court. Gerald might have been flash, but Jason Richardson brought power, poetry, and precision. And he's got 2 dunk contest trophies to prove it.
Batted outside, here they go. Jay Rich to the hole.
Jason Richardson didn't just dunk, he attacked the rim. His 44.5-inch vertical isn't enough to show you how high he could fly or how creative he could get around the basket. Every time he jumped, it looked like the flow owed him money. And when it came to the dunk contest, he didn't come to participate, he came to end careers. We're talking about back-to-back dunk contest winner here. He came more than prepared with the contest in 2002 and 2003, and every dunk was a lesson in airborne violence. You name it, reverse off the backboard windmills, between the legs of the bounce, even one-hand tomahawks that rattled the arena. Jay Rich wasn't trying to impress the judges, he was trying to scare them, and he did it successfully. But this wasn't just a dunk contest. He brought that same energy to real games, and the best part was him doing all of this as a power guard. Not some wiry 6'3" leaper, but a 6'6" muscle-bound wind flying like a feather. His bounce was two-footed, violent, and ridiculously consistent, and when he levitated, you knew someone in the pen was about to make a business decision. He was simply a bounce god. Speaking of bounce gods, before all the ones we know today, there was David Thompson, who made jumping a headline act. No highlight reels, no fancy shoes, just pure vertical violence. Let's talk about the skywalker before skywalking was a thing. Long before YouTube mixtapes, slow-mo replays, and high-def dunk cams, David Thompson was already levitating past your favorite defender. Nicknamed Skywalker for a reason, Thompson's 44-inch vertical wasn't just elite for his era, it would still turn heads in today's game. This was the 1970s. The shoes were heavier, and the courts were tougher. And yet, Thompson played like he had springs in his socks and beef with altitude limits. He once scored 73 points in a single game, and you better believe a bunch of them came from above the rim. This man was so good that he was the earnest basketball idol growing up. David Thompson was MJ's MJ. That should tell you everything you need to know. The man had such a ridiculous bounce that his head regularly hits the backboard. That's not an exaggeration, it's documented. He'll jump so high that defenders just stood and watched like they were witnessing an eclipse. He made verticality an art form in an era where most guys were still mastering the layup. And without him, a whole generation of high flyers might not have believed it was possible. But he wasn't the only pioneer making the rim nervous. I mean, what would this list be without the first ever NBA dunk contest champ, Larry Nance? The man who soared with a vertical so clean it looked photoshopped in real life. Before the dunk contest was a social media circus, Larry Nance turned it into an international event and walked away as its first ever champion in 1984. With a 44-inch vertical, Nance didn't just beat the competition, he made them rethink their careers. The man jumped like his legs were hydraulics, and when he dunked, it looked like someone had just paused gravity for a second. His signature move was the two-ball windmill slam. Done midair like he had time to spare. Larry didn't just dunk with height, he dunked with grace and savagery at the same time. But this wasn't just about contests. Nance was a legit two-way monster. An elite shot blocker at 6'10", he would reject your shot on one end and dunk it back in your face at the other. He finished his career with over 2,000 blocks and countless dunks that would have gone viral if cameras could keep up back then. Now, if you think being the first ever dunk contest champ was impressive, wait until you meet the guy who didn't just jump high. He basically moved in above the rim, J.D. Steffens. J.D. Steffens didn't just leave up there, he paid rent on the backboard.
Unbelievable athlete.
If you ever wondered what it would look like if someone just deleted gravity, meet J.D. Steffens. Dude owns the highest jump ever recorded at the NBA combined with an official 48-inch vertical. But that's not all. He holds the record for the highest standing vertical leap in NBA draft combined history at 46 inches and the highest running vertical ever measured at an absurd 53 inches during the 2013 combined. Let that sink in. 53 inches. That's not a jump. That's a low orbit launch. When he took off, it felt like the court had an eject button with his name on it. Some players got off the ground, but J.D. Steffens left the zip code. He didn't have the NBA career his vertical deserved, but his college and overseas highlight looked like something out of a glitchy video game. One of the wildest parts is that he's only 6'4", meaning his head nearly touched the rim in multiple plays. He didn't just defy gravity, he gave it PTSD. While he might not be a household name, ask any dunker, trainer, or rim in the game, J.D. Steffens is the vertical standard. And there you have it, more of the highest flyers the game has ever seen. Some were legends, some were hidden gems, but all were gravity's worst nightmare. So, which of these leapers blew your mind the most? Drop your pick in the comments, smash that like button, and if you thought this list was wild, wait until you see the NBA players who got cheating live on camera. We're talking messy, awkward, and straight up scandalous. Click over now. And although your jaw might still be on the floor, trust us, it's about to drop again.